This time I have a Sony TCFX77 cassette deck. This one here was brought in to be checked over so it can be sold. And it was told that the last time it was used it worked fine, but he didn't know whether it worked or not now. We're going to find out that it does have a problem. We're going to take this thing apart and fix it because it's eating tapes. And this was a little bit different chassis than a lot of them. Quite reliable actually. Let's check this one out. This time I have a Sony TCFX77 cassette deck to check out. Don't know anything about it, whether it works, whether it doesn't. We're going to find that out. It doesn't work. There might be sound there. I don't have my volume turned on, but you can see right now that there's a problem. If we look in here, it's going to eat the tape. If we look in here, you'll see that the take-up spool is not turning. So how about rewind? Rewind doesn't seem to want to work either. Forward is really sluggish, but rewind doesn't want to work, but look. So this one has a take-up spool problem. Just remove the cover and take a look at the operation. I think I've got to press something in here to make it think there's a tape in it. Yeah, that's the switch up there. Okay, let's see what goes on. Yeah, the take-up spool is really, really stiff. If I turn it by hand, nothing happens, you see. Even fast forward, it's really, really stiff. So I got to figure out why that's sticking. I'm going to pop out the inner tray here and take a look at the drive. See if something's gumming it up. Maybe a gummed up bearing, because it is a direct drive motor that ooh, that's coming apart quite nicely. That piece just fell apart. Now let's not lose anything. Grab my needle nose and pick out that piece from the clutch that just kind of just fell out. That's not supposed to pop out like that. That is supposed to hold the spring in on the clutch. Push that back in. Okay. This hub is quite stiff. This one here turns easily. This one here is really quite stiff. That is our fault on this one. Take that apart. And there should be maybe a cut washer around here that holds this in place. But this is definitely stiff. There's a washer on the end here, if I can pull that off. It's a washer, it's a cut washer in there I got to pull off. There it is, right there. Okay, now with that out of the way, I should be able to remove this hub and lubricate this post in behind here, which is all gummed up. Usually use an optical sensor here for the auto stop. There's a light that shines through here. Right, this light, there's a light that shines through, and there's an incandescent light bulb up here. So auto stop on these is controlled by this incandescent light bulb. If this incandescent light bulb burns out, there won't be no light hitting the photo sensors and the unit will not play. That's just a quick tip on these. We're going to clean up and lubricate this shaft and then see how much better this turns. Even just wiping the grease off of there, it should turn a lot easier now when I put the unit back in, the hub back in. See, now it turns freely. If I engage play, what happens? See how it turns. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I'll lower the camera down a bit. So where it was all gummed up, this shaft here, I just kind of wiped it off with my finger, but it's mostly at the front and at the back. That's where it makes contact. So I'm just going to put a little bit of lubricant on here and put the hub back on, and we'll put that piece back together and see what happens. In case you're wondering, it is moly coat grease that I'm going to put on here. Just put some at the back here, on the back of the bearing, and up at the front. You don't need much either. Too much grease, as they say, is worse than not enough. So put the hub back on there and put the cut washer back on that holds it in place. Yep. Alright, that's in place. Does the reel spin properly now? Yep. Spins like it's supposed to. I'll put the hub back in place. Okay, at this point I can pop a tape in it and see whether the tape moves. It'll obviously shut off immediately because the auto stop is not going to be detected, but we just want to make sure that the tape moves, which it does. So now I can put the light, the auto stop light deflector, and the base plate back in, and that should make this unit work. Now this unit is going to be going up for sale when I'm done with it here. The fellow that brought it to me to check over and get it functional so that it can be sold. So we're going to do the other tape hub as well. Since I've got it apart, might as well do this one at the same time. Just going to pick that cut washer off. There, that one's on. I'm going to push the eject button in while we're doing this. That raises up the tape detectors so that I can get the edge back in and clip it in place. There we go. Rewind, fast forward. Everything's looking good. Yeah. That's looking good. We'll check the speed out, make sure the speed's correct, then I'll throw this one together. Use a good old guitar tuner and the 440 speed test. Just because it's quick and it's accurate, because guitar tuners are relatively accurate. Actually, they're very accurate. Speed adjustment on this is just on the back of the motor. We're going to tune it for A, dead center. Looks pretty good to me. Do a record test on here now. Let's see here. Record and pause. I guess it's record and pause. I'm going to record this track. So we're going to start it up here. Not that track. Record and play. Oh, that takes it out of record. Record, pause, play. Okay. Zero my counter. Record. Next track here. I'm not using any Dolby on this either. This is just no Dolby. I'll let it record and we'll play it back and take a listen to it. So while the recording is taking place, I figured I'll just take a look inside this unit, see how well things are laid out. There are some common problems that this one has. One of them is this relay. If you get a motorboating sound, like a thump, 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 it's typically the relay has gone bad. Changed out lots of those over the years. This one's got a removable top, which doesn't do it any good because the atmosphere gets at it. They came out with better relays down the road that were hermetically sealed. This is a 2-motor, 2-solenoid design. One motor for the take-up and supply spools, as you saw through the gear-driven pendulum, and the second one is a belt drive for the capstan motor, and just dedicated motor just for capstan. There's 2 solenoids, one to raise and lower the head and pinch roller, and the other one to turn the brakes on and off. Good old basic machine. It was a good 2-head machine in its day. Soft touch controls. It featured also an optional wired remote. And my recording is done, so I'm going to stop it. Soft touch controls. Basic settings for Dolby B&C are off. Headphone level control. 4 types of tape. Type 1, 2, 3, and 4. Type 3, of course, is Sony's ferrochrome tape. Not a lot of decks had Type 3. And if you didn't have Type 3, you recorded it in Type 1 and you played it back in Type 2. That's basically the difference between the settings. Ferrochrome tape was recorded at a standard bias, but it had enhanced highs, so you use the 70 microsecond de-emphasis to play it back. This one's a Type 2 tape that I've got here. Going to rewind the counter till it gets back to 0, and I actually could hit memory on here, and then it will stop when it hits 0. And let me play the recording back. And let's take a listen. Oh, it doesn't sound very good, does it? That sounds kind of a bit muffled. I wonder why. I wonder if we got a dirty head. That head actually looks to be kind of dirty. Let's take a closer look at that. Yeah, it looks pretty dirty. You can actually feel it, it's so dirty. Note the lack of plastic on this mechanism. Like everything that followed this was plastic. That's why these older decks go for, you know, good coin. Thing's probably never been cleaned. The fellow that gave me this to service and basically sell for him told me it hasn't been used in years. Like it's just been sitting around collecting dust. We'll make that recording over again because it sounded pretty bad. So record. We'll do the same track again. I will let it record for a bit and we'll see how much better it sounds now that I've cleaned the record playhead. That should make a huge difference in the sound quality. I will I shouldn't have to demagnetize this. This is a 2-head deck. So by simply putting it in record, I'm putting an AC field on the head which will demagnetize it. So I could demagnetize it. It's not going to make any difference because that really only applies to 3-head decks. The reason you have to do it on 3-head decks is because the playback head, there's no signal applied to the playback head. There's no AC field applied to the playback head, which will demagnetize any magnetic charge that builds up just from the AC signal of turning on the bias oscillator for record. But 3-head decks and playback only decks, you definitely do have to demagnetize them because they will pick up a residual magnetic field from the tape as it passes over it. So we'll record, or we'll play this back again. And here should be the new recording. I'm going to plug this right into the camera so you guys can hear the off tape sound. Well, now you know why that tape says foobar, because, well, it's been chewed up more than once. This is a damaged tape that I just use in cassette decks for testing. This one's done. That's about all I can do on this for basic general maintenance on it. The belt's in good shape still, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Put the cassette door back on, throw the top on it, and then this one will be going up for sale and get whatever I can get for the owner. So we'll say thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.